Jesus emptied himself, he died on a cross, and now he sits as King of the universe. He has been exalted with the name that is above every name, and every knee should bow and every tongue confess. It's a really powerful image. It does, for me, beg the question, okay, Paul, you're saying that Jesus is currently King of the universe. But I'm looking around for the last 2,000 years, it doesn't really look like he's the king. Because there's been tyrants and empires and military excursions. There's been injustice and suffering ever since. So how can you tell me that Jesus is king when there's so many other powers that seem to be in control of everything? I think Paul would answer that the way Jesus is ruling is different than the way all of these other powers rule. Turns out that the Caesars and the empires and the presidents, they're grasping after a parody of power. Jesus here, this hymn, not only does it redefine what it means to be God, it redefines power and lordship and authority and rule. The true power is God emptying himself and dying on the cross. Jesus dying on the cross is the most powerful thing God has ever done. And so Jesus has been ruling, but it's been in a way that doesn't look like the power structures of our day. And the crazy thing is, to me, is that it's actually been working. One of my favorite books on the history of the world is Tom Holland. He wrote Dominion. And in this book, Dominion, he lays out world history from the crucifixion of Jesus till today. And he just traces just how much the world has been radically changed by Jesus. The Roman world did not care about the sort of things that we as a society take for granted. Universal education. We think that everyone should be able to learn. Not so in the Roman world. That was for the ultra elite. Healthcare, readily accessible for all of the sick and the poor? No. If you were sick and poor, that was your lot. And maybe if you were ultra wealthy, you could hire a doctor for yourself. Ideals like inclusion and diversity and taking care of the marginalized, social programs to take care of those of people of those in need, humility, as we've talked about, as a core virtue. None of these were a part of the Roman world. It was dog eat dog. We're going to take care of our particular family. We're going to try to keep climbing up the rung of society, and we're just going to leave everyone else in the dust. And so it was radical. It was a radical reshaping of the entire world. Today, you look around, there's a lot of people out there that have rejected Jesus, but they are holding tight to the very morals that we get because of Jesus. The only reason our Western world thinks about these things is because of this movement that started 2,000 years ago. It has already reshaped the world in countless ways. And so for us then, it's this slow march of his grace and mercy that has and still does change the world. A metaphor for us that I've been thinking about all week. I keep thinking about the images of the Allied troops landing on the beaches of Normandy. That was the decisive turning point of World War II. And as these brave soldiers took one step further along the beach, that changed the course of the war and the course of world history. It's like that for us. It's this slow and steady march of grace for the last 2,000 years. And every time you meet in someone's home and you pray for them, every time you go and visit someone who is sick and bring them communion and sing a hymn with them, every prayer offered, every act of grace and mercy, it's like we're taking one more step on the beachhead. And yeah, his slow and steady march is actually changing the world. And still, I know I might hear the pushback. Okay, Pastor, but those kind of acts, they don't feel very earth-shattering. They don't feel very world-changing. And I would submit the only reason they don't feel world-changing is because Jesus has already reshaped the world. Because in the Roman world, those things were absolutely world-changing. And they knew it. The powers that be knew it. They looked at this love that Jesus was talking about, and they were terrified, and so they killed him. They persecuted Paul. They persecuted these early Christians who were gathering together, treating each other like family, and pouring out this incredible love and mercy because their way of life was going to upend the entire Roman society. And it did. And so they were terrified of it. And so they knew that it was world-changing.